Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Build Time. Today we have Stefan from Cosmic and Tom from imgix. He's going to be going over some of the cool things that you can do with the imgix solution and kind of how it connects with Cosmic. I'm Tony with Cosmic, and we're excited to go over some of this cool partnership stuff that you can do with Cosmic and imgix to make great products. So Tom, you want to go ahead and take it away for us?
Yeah, thanks so much, Tony. It's great to be talking here, and I know we've done a couple of things here and there, but I think this is a really fun project. I'm glad to be sharing it with everyone here. So, like you mentioned, so imgix is a partner with Cosmic, and I think the most important thing to think about is just if you use Cosmic, any image you put there is on imgix, so it's an extremely easy way to use imgix, right? Like it's included with it. It's super powerful. So whenever you're putting an image there and then using the API to display it, it's going to be using the power of imgix. And I think it'd be kind of interesting to go through and just show some of the neat things you can do with imgix to expand upon it and use it in a performant way on your site. So, this whole project started out really as an idea that when we talk to customers, we're generally creating code pens, code sandboxes, different kind of things that just show off a certain feature or a certain thing they're looking at, right? And I email it to them, or maybe I have a call with them, but I don't know where it goes after that. Just gets kind of forgotten, right? And typically, you think back to your old days in the class when you have a question, someone else probably has that same question, right? Well, I think this falls in line with this idea of if I make a demo, I bet someone else might want to see it. So I had this idea of, well, let's create a demos page, and each post, let's call it, right, is just actually just one of those code pens, or code sandboxes that people can look at themselves. And I wanted to make something, but I really didn't want to spend like a crazy amount of time making this and doing all these blog posts. Otherwise, I would have just wrote full-on blog posts for every single demo. But I think I would have gone maybe insane doing that, right? So I was like, okay, how can I just create something simple? And I was like, okay, this is going to be a great way to use Cosmic. I can create like a simple, fast, good site, and it's going to make it really easy for editors just to add these demos in there. So I had this idea of just take the embed excerpt from a code pen, and if you put that in a post in CMS in Cosmic, then let's just display it on the front end and make it look good. And that's where it all started out as, and we ended up with something really cool, I think. Let me go ahead and share my screen and show you here. So let's see. All right, yeah. So the idea being here, I'm just hosting it because I'm going to show you the code, but it's also available here at demos.imgix.com, right? The idea here is that I just click into something, and whatever CodePen article, code sandbox I put in, it's right here. It's going to generate. So you can see the code here, or you can actually just play around with it yourself, and whatever it is, super easy to do. And when I think about what is this in Cosmic, well, all it is just an image, a title, some kind of excerpt, and then the embed code. That's all I'm doing to build out every single post. It's super easy. And that allows everyone to take those previous things and make tons and tons of these posts. It really turned out, I think nice, and I loved how easy it was to do with Cosmic. So I'm thinking maybe I could just dive in and show how we built it. Is that cool, Tony?
Yeah, that sounds great. And
You want me to actually
we're gonna have
show?
links.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have links in the show notes to the demo site as well as the code, so users can see how it's all put together. But yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. See how it's built.
So and just to show the idea of Cosmic, if I do a post here, right? Like I said, just title. I put the code here for the iframe. I'm just putting a little excerpt here, and that's where I upload my image, and that's all I do, right? Don't have to think about anything else. And I'm really just taking a large image, uploading it here, and never thinking about it again. And when I go back to this image, if I look over here, if I'm actually inspecting this, it's you can see it's actually generating this responsive design here, where it's doing all these different sizes. It's going to intelligently choose the right format, choose the right size based on what my design is here. it's going to lazy load it in. It's all really, really cool. Again, I didn't have to do anything. You kind of see how it just quickly blurs right there, that 1 second. Yeah, I think that was one really cool aspect too. So yeah, so let's dive into the code and show it here. Here we go. So the site is built on Next.js, and it's using Tailwind, and being deployed with Vercel, Cosmic as the CMS, and then the images are imgix since it's through Cosmic, right? So if I just go, let's just start at the index page here. Cool. So, I'm essentially creating these APIs using the Cosmic NPM, right? And once I created those different APIs on each page, I'm just calling them using the get static paths and props, right? So, and then I'm displaying it right here. So I just do my different components. Like, so my intro is kind of like my header at the top, and then I'm calling in the different posts right here. And
I think you can zoom out maybe a couple clicks.
oh yeah, I'm going to zoom out.
Yeah.
There you go. That's perfect.
And right here is where I'm calling that API, right? The get static props. I'm calling in my post for homepage, and these and I'm actually statically building this website, but I'm using Vercel's ISR, right? So that's like, it's intermittently gonna check to see if something has been updated, and if something's been updated from you guys, it's not actually gonna rebuild the entire site. It's just gonna take the new thing and add that. So
And that
like
stands for incremental static regeneration.
Yeah, incremental static. Yeah. So whatever time you choose, it's increment. Oh, this is why I said ISR, right? It's gonna incrementally just add the new things and not rebuild the whole site. So I think that's a really really cool feature to be using here.
Yeah, Next.js has some really like nifty features when it comes to like needing to refresh some of that data. And I mean, it's no surprise that you just have all the options to, if you want to statically build something, but it's like, oh, I don't want to rebuild the whole site. So it just comes in handy.
Yeah, so if I dig into, let's just dig into the actual posts here, right? So if I go to my more demos here we go. So I'm going to call the actual post here, and it's going to map it. So it's going to, for every single post, it's going to repeat this code, right? That's the bread and butter of why Next.js is so glorious, right? It's just one block of code and repeats it for everything. And I'm kind of just identifying the key different items and actually connecting them based on their name in the API here, right? And this is all coming from what name I used in Cosmic, right? And whenever I'm confused in life and not sure what name to use, there's like that simple developer tools button in Cosmic. You can just kind of go in and press it, and it's going to tell me which one to use. So that's pretty cool.
Can you show us that really quick?
Yeah, totally. The
developer tools
drawer? Yeah, I think you encouraged me to stop doing this, the basic kind of GraphQL type stuff, and instead actually you use the NPM module, right?
Right. Yeah, the NPM module is quite nice, especially because we just did a redesign on the methods. So everything is like really concise. And yeah, I'd love to see. Yeah, so you can run this to get instant access to exactly what that code looks like, right? Yep. And then yeah, you can copy and paste it into an application.
Yeah, so that's like a single post. If I go back here, now press it, it's going to give me the code for all the posts, right?
Right.
And now I can run it here, and again, it's going to show me, see, it's bringing in all these objects, and I got to just make sure, okay, I brought in this, and this, but if I want the image or something else, I just got to go in and update this to whatever as I want. I think metadata, right?
Right, exactly.
Now if I click in here in the metadata area, I got all my other good stuff. I got my image, the excerpt, all that extra stuff I added. So it's just.
So quick point on that, because it's funny, you were using GraphQL and you were getting, kind of the benefits of GraphQL is the fact that you have these declarative ways of querying your content. However, with our NPM module and with our REST API, we actually give you GraphQL-like powers in the fact that you can really limit that response to exactly only the properties that you need, right? So using props, you can just set any of those parameters, and that's the query that you get returned. That's the response you have returned.
Yeah, that's literally the only reason I would use GraphQL, is just because I didn't want to request everything, right? And that's the right thing to do, not slow down your site by generating all these responses. But I'm always having to try to figure out what the name specifically of everything is to try to get the right GraphQL call going. But this made it just a lot easier, I think.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, so going back to that code, we can dig in what these posts look like now. So what we got to look up here, my post preview here. So I'm breaking it down, so for each post, I've got the cover image, I've got my category listed, right? Get some author info. So let's just go back and kind of compare those side by side, maybe, so you can see how I'm generating them on the actual page. So it's all right. The cover image here, right? You've got the category and the title coming in, the date, this excerpt right here, and then this author section. So that's how I'm building out each one and just repeating it in the actual code here. And yeah, so it's just everywhere I want to declare it, I can either just declare the value here or actually make a component for it, right? And if I want to do something more complex on the image side, I can go here. I think I actually didn't really mess with this image side much from where I actually forked this originally from one of your next merge sections. And this actually did it really well. It's actually calling in the imgix SDK, right? So it's just bringing in that URL and then generating a responsive design. And then down here, you're able to help declare the lazy loading idea, right? So bringing in something, I'm bringing in over here a very small image, right? A 10 wide image, but I'm bringing in at the big size. So it just gives it that effect of it looks like a blurry image at first, but I'm not loading something that's heavy. I'm loading something that's very small, right? So this is whatever, a 2-3 kilobyte request. And then afterwards, bring in the other one, right? So it was a really, really neat use case there of getting that kind of low quality image feeling.
Yeah, we use that trick on a lot of our templates with Cosmic. It's so easy with imgix, is just popping that small size image and then loading it in as just a blurry image, and it's just super convenient, easy to do.
Yeah, I think, and if you're not familiar also just with Tailwind, you might be wondering all this weird stuff is here. So that's Tailwind, and for me, I don't have to know CSS, thank goodness, and here I can pump this in.
Tailwind's, we were talking about it. Tailwind's one of those things where you go to Tailwind, you don't ever want to go back to just writing CSS. It's just like you're kind of like, it's kind of like you're cursed, you're scarred after that. But it's so convenient, so it's like, oh.
Well, and you can just go down the rabbit hole, because then you can find like Tailwind UI, and now you're just getting full on examples. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, this is like the great example of building out the image component here and adding that LKIP. So thinking about the design of the site, so I had the homepage, right? And then from the homepage, the only other places you can really go are to like a categories page or the individual posts, right? And the way to do that is just creating this slug, and you're essentially saying whatever slug you pass in by clicking on something, it's going to populate that field, right? So looking at these different ones here, so we can look at this one, for example. So you just have to make a different API call for each of these again, right? And you're going to use the get static props to call each one. So that's the main thing you really need to focus on, is just creating the 3 or 4 different API calls. Because like I was clicking through in that example of the developer tools, if you go into an individual post, that's how you call the individual post, versus when I was looking at all the posts, that's how I called all of them, right? So that was the really key aspect there. And otherwise it's a pretty simple idea to what I'm doing. I mean, we can look at, like I mentioned, the embed, right? I'm literally just calling an embed here and putting in, that's what's creating that code pen item right here. So it's just bringing in the actual code in here. And I think Tony and I were debating this idea, like everything was easy, but for a second I was just like, if I just want to put legit code and iframe into a CMS and have them generate it right, like, will that work? And
do you want to
think,
explain this dangerously set inner HTML scary thing?
Yeah, because the big workaround or thing is that when people just put random stuff into a CMS block, you're going to try to make it renderable, right? But I'm trying to say, no, I really want this to be just my pure HTML. So this is like a way to get around that and make Next.js understand, that, hey, I'm giving just pure HTML, and that's embedded this dangerously set inner HTML.
Yeah, so that's a React requirement, right? If you want to just pass like a HTML and render it from a string into HTML on the page, that's something that they advise against that, but it just depends on making sure that you have the safe inputs, and so because you trust yourself and Cosmic to render the right non-malicious code, like that's actually okay, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of neat where I'm putting the code in the in Cosmic. I can actually see it rendered before I even deploy it, right? Like if let's see here, if I just click this one here. So yeah, like when I'm making an empty one, I put the code in here, but I just literally press this button and you can see the preview to see it's actually working, right? And one thing I haven't built yet, but I have like a future dream list is that idea of the merge requests where you guys set up here, right? So I could have, since as we add more and more authors adding posts here, to have it not actually go to production, but have it go to some kind of a staging. So someone else has to theoretically like approve it, kind of like a Git request for a Git repo, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like something I really need to add, which is like the V2, right? V2 is you add this, you press the publish button, and someone's actually going to look at it one more time just to make sure.
Absolutely. And you chose the right template to do that because it's built into that template for collaboration using Cosmic merge requests. So yeah, definitely let me know when you get to that point when you want to create those workflows, and I can help guide you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So so this was the way I was putting those embed codes, and beyond that, the only other thing I had to do was make my little categories page, right? So you can click on each category, and again, it's kind of recreating the home page where you show all the posts, but you put that one caveat of, I want you to actually just show the ones that equal this parameter, right? And I think the way I did that is in my library here. Here we go. So this library section, this is where I'm putting like all the different requests I'm making, right? So let's see if I can find my category one here real quick. Here we go. Yeah, so I'm right in here, right? I'm essentially saying find any post, right? Except make this field, which is my category field, equal to something, which I'm passing in each time, right? So that was a really important kind of aspect of making that slug page possible. But you can do this with anything now, right? Like this is a really interesting way to do, like let's say you want to implement a search in the future, right? Well, if you want to do a search, then again, you're going to be passing in the value in that search bar, and it's got to equal, probably the title section or whatever it is you want to search off of, right? So I think this is a really neat example of doing this again through the NPM module, right? Not doing it through, Cool.
Yeah, that looks great. That's a great example, a great use case of using everything in that kind of find. After the find method is the Cosmic query. So yeah, you can query by metadata. You can query by, let's say you wanted to do like a regular expression even. You can search by if the title contains certain keywords, or if you wanted to search by author, you can also do that. Any connected objects to the specific post, you could do that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of capabilities there you have out of the box.
Well, and if you just get rid of this, then you're essentially just finding the posts, right? Because you are kind of like if I made a post section, an author section, and a category section, but I don't want all three of those sections being put on the homepage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just by getting rid of that, that's a way to kind of do the show all posts really simply.
Exactly.
Cool. So yeah, so beyond that, like I said, we just deployed it through Vercel, and now it's working really well. And every time we add a new post, it's just using that incremental build, right? So that's a really great way to just make sure the site stays performant without having to trigger rebuilds and not having it, server side search every time you load. I think those are all really key aspects for performance that are good for this kind of site.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Tom, on the imgix side of things, is there anything that you want maybe our viewers and listeners to understand about some of the imgix capabilities that you offer with the imgix service, and maybe just some things that you've seen out in the wild that is underutilized? Maybe if you want to show us like maybe some of those demos that you're offering on the actual website, are there certain things that we should be looking at to really show our customers some things that they should be using in their applications and their websites?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, so this one's a really good example right here, actually. So I don't know if you heard of Unsplash. It's like a stock photo company, right? And the idea there is, anyone could kind of submit their own photos, and they're only high quality ones that get approved, and anyone could kind of use them, right? Well, when they share a page on social media or about a category or a section, instead of it just being one image that is on on Twitter or something like that, they actually want to make it look, more exciting to stand out, right? And this is a great example of what that image is. It's the whole image is here, and they have their logo up here, but it's actually three images, right? So you're bringing in all these different images, and it's kind of dynamic for each page. And what they're using is actually like a complex version of imgix, because imgix, you can add watermarks and add text and add blends and logos and build like a really complex image and just pass in these different dynamic values. So I think that idea of making your social media share images dynamic based on each page is a really exciting use case of imgix that's pretty underutilized. Because if you want your stuff to stand out in social media, you're going to have to just do something different, and creating, a fun looking image that is custom to every single post can be made a lot faster just by setting up something like this. I think that's a really great example of thinking there's so many more APIs, right? Like anything that's kind of like Photoshoppy that you might do in your mind, let's do that on the fly automatic with imgix instead.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a neat idea. I think when you think about images, you think about your actual stuff in production on the end and how fast they are and that kind of stuff, right? But you have all your internal admin type tools as well. And I think imgix can really empower those well. Like if editors really want to build out cropping tools or do something to some kind of existing tool they have, this is like a great example of how you might build out a cropping idea in an internal tool, right? This is just something your editors are going to see. They're going to upload an image and they can crop the image out. And once it's cropped, this is the actual image, right? The thing is, it's got all these different parameters in here, but you just map those to how you're building it out in your tool. So essentially, don't change up how you're doing things. Sometimes you can just, improve it by using imgix to empower those homegrown tools maybe you built.
That's actually something that we do with Cosmic. We don't have the cropper tool, though. I'm making a mental note that we should implement that one in our dashboard. But we do offer the ability to kind of set those parameters using the dashboard interface, right? So if you wanted to kind of do the settings. So yeah, right there, it's the settings exactly. So,
yeah.
So we do offer some of these things, but the cropper, that's a really nice addition as well.
Yeah, I can show you how we built out the cropper. It'd be perfect.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I think this the key here is really just doing what you might, pay a designer to do or someone to do. If you can really do that programmatically, it's skipping that idea and just do it automatically, right? I mean, again, avatars, most simplest thing in the world, right? Like it's just a representation of who you are, and people are uploading their own images all the time. Well, you could improve that in so many ways. Like one way is detecting the faces and having it go to it and zoom in on it. And this would be really easy to do in Cosmic, honestly, right? Like just have whatever image you upload, and then on the front end code, hey, just zoom into the face, add some kind of box around here, add some blurriness, something like that. So it all just, every time it gets uploaded, the actual editor doesn't have to worry about making sure that the face is cropped or chosen, because you have that kind of battle of, like you said, there's a rec crop thing that could be neat, but having it be something you don't have to worry about and just intelligently happens is a really powerful thing too, right?
So in this avatar example, is
Yeah,
that first one, is it programmatically taking that avatar and making that background blurred from the avatar itself?
exactly. Yeah, it
Oh,
is. Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, no, it's adding the text, adding these emojis, and then this is a blurred version of the same image behind it, and then putting
Got
this
it.
in front of it. It's really neat idea there, right? And again, you can
Yeah.
just pass in the name and pass in this, and then the rest it'll just get generated and created.
Clearly, there's a whole ton of imgix things that I have yet to explore because just going in and doing some of the more basic queries like formatting and quality and all that. But like this is kind of opening up a lens to like a whole new world of imgix for me at least. So
Yeah, I mean, even this is a great idea here of uh so GIFs are inherently like a pretty heavy thing, right? And it's like an old format. Well, if you were to take that GIF, you could actually use imgix to convert it to like a video format, and you can't tell the difference between them, right? Like, but one is just drastically lighter than another, and that's a really interesting idea because I'm literally just doing. Let's see if I, what am I in here? This is an image, and then this is a video tag, is what I'm doing, right? So I'm just passing in that same image, but just doing FM format equals MP4. So it's converting it to a video and putting
wow.
it in that video tag. It's like the biggest secret of the world that all these GIFs you look at actually on the internet aren't GIFs. Like Giphy is actually not GIFs, it's videos. Twitter, all their GIFs are videos. That's like a really, big thing to do is let's, optimize that animation that we all love and make it not actually a
Yeah.
GIF, right?
Wow.
But yeah, and the imgix is really starting to expand beyond the images as well. I think video is such an important visual format as well, you're seeing on the internet. And right now a lot of people use those, like I mentioned, MP4, right? But one of the big problems with MP4 is essentially if you do a high quality MP4, it looks great for us, but what happens when your signal is bad? It's going to start catching up and not working, right? Well, we've all experienced Netflix or something like that, where if you actually have bad signal, you'll see that it degrades and gets blurry, but keeps playing, and it's like choked for a second and then returns back, right?
The worst.
Well, but I mean, the thing is, what would you rather have it do? Do you want it to be blurry, or do you want it to stop, right?
I feel like I just don't have the patience for either, but yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I
None of the
just
above.
I close my eyes and plug my ears for a minute and
Yeah. So if you think about this new video format, it's called so HLS. It's essentially generating a bunch of different video sizes, and every like 8 seconds, it's intelligently going to load a different resolution based on what your actual bandwidth is on your phone or your computer. So it's like a really interesting idea that if you're just getting close to catching up to that thing, to that stop point, right? It'll just switch down just one degradation, like not go all the way down to the bad blurry one, but just go a little less down to give you
Mhm.
time to catch up on the buffer again, because maybe you're just happen to be going in a bad signal area and it'll return for a moment, right?
That's amazing. So very similar to like image or the image tag source set. This is something to where it's almost like dynamic.
Exactly.
They're
Dynamically
provided,
changing out.
yeah,
Yeah.
dynamic optimization. That's
Yes.
really cool.
it's a really cool idea. So I mean, it's a newer thing that we just started doing a couple months ago. So yeah, cool thing to check out. I would definitely suggest it. And it's just one of those things of, you think about what stops your customers, your viewers, or whatever from interacting with your site. And I think about page load speed, right? But I also think about just if you're trying to watch a video and it's just not working, you're gonna leave and give up too, right? So find a way to keep that content rolling.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely. All about that user experience. Tom, I wanted to ask, you're touching on the basis of kind of taking, being able to programmatically solve some of those problems as the developer. And I kind of wanted to bridge into for developers who are just getting into doing some of those design optimizations, what's their easiest segue into starting to use imgix, and like maybe would it just be some basic params on images to start out with and just going over some of the documentation? But what would you suggest?
We have kind of a fun sandbox page actually. So it's called sandbox.imgix.com, and there's like a bunch of these neat examples down here, like pre-made. And when
Awesome.
you look into them, it like breaks out all the parameters like one by one, just so you kind of see how it was built, I guess. And then you can, switch out the images easily and see how it affects them, that kind of thing. And it's really just to give you this idea of what actually went into each idea to make this image possible. And then, again, when you're building it out from Cosmic, putting this in the front end side, and it'll just generate on the image side, right? That'll how it work.
That's
Because you have
beautiful.
this, I think you have this dilemma of, and this is how you make things way easier, right? Is the developer needs to learn this, but the editor, they're never going to learn this, they're never going to memorize this. I mean, really, the design, the engineer isn't either, right? But if the engineer puts it one time into the code, then these editors, they don't have to worry about ever trying to make it a circle, and getting that fed into their head of, don't worry, just put the square image in there, we're going to zoom in on the face, we're going to make it a circle, we're going to make that all happen, and you never have to worry about it, is a really great way to like empower that editorial team to get that, the power of imgix, right?
This makes me think of a really cool idea for an extension. Well, tell me if you think it's really cool. If we
Mm-hmm.
have an extension that renders that dynamic content on the fly on Cosmic, where let's say you are updating an object and trying these like watermarks and cropping and but all these elements kind of can be coming from Cosmic. So once you click save, right there in the editing experience, you'll be able to see like that dynamic content served from Cosmic, rendered using imgix and those query parameters. Because I think we're kind of touching on a very important general point when it comes to like a content management system. It's really, we're trying to bridge the gap between like the complexity of the developer task and the ease of use of a content editor, and sort of like creating that like preview environment, just like what you just showed us with the sandbox, that makes it really easy to kind of
Mm-hmm.
test out your capabilities. I think the same thing we can kind of demonstrate something here. Let's say if we installed an extension that served like the title of this demo, maybe the author's name and the avatar. So I think there's an opportunity here to really kind of bridge that gap even more between Cosmic and imgix, to have some sort of a sandbox environment here, right there in the dashboard.
Yeah, because that's the big thing is having some kind of a tool to empower them to make that easier to use all those combinations. And I think that'd be really neat, because you're not only generating the thumbnail, but like generate the share image, the OG image that has the title put on there and the logo and all that kind of stuff. That'd be really cool to like generate it so you could see it here, and then maybe even then when you call it in the API, you're just literally calling the instead of the cover image, it's the I don't know, OG cover image or something like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think when you brought up the sandbox and you pulled up the page, the first thing I was like, where's it builds you that query. And that's always, sometimes, you're developing, you're in a pinch and you just want to see what you're editing. And then to be able to
Mm-hmm.
just click a button built built those queries for you, and it's just like, bam, you pop that in your code, and sometimes you're in and out of there in a minute, and mission accomplished.
Well, how about
So,
even building like 3 variations of this image, right? Like you could do one thing and save it as cover image 2 and build another in cover image 3. So then you could kind of call each variation for different scenarios too. That'd be kind of neat.
Oh yeah. And like even just being able to, like simply, maybe you want to use it for different parts, you could just crop it in there and just, that's a good idea. We're on to something here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got a whole list of cool stuff in our product roadmap, so we can add one more cool thing.
Yeah, why not?
So just so you, our viewers know, what you showed was the old dashboard, and we're actually working on an entirely new dashboard, actually built on Next.js, and so you'll see quite a bit of performance enhancements, improvements. A lot of the stuff that we're doing on the Cosmic dashboard is rendered using imgix, right? Because we preach what we practice what we preach, and so we've got imgix powering the Cosmic dashboard, as well as out of the box available for customers to use. So we're really excited. That was a great demo, Tom. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that we should let our viewers know about?
No, I mean, I think, so if you want to use imgix and you don't need a CMS for it, you can go to imgix, and we do have free forever accounts for those developers to start using it now. But I think really, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you should be using Cosmic and just getting the free powers of imgix through it. I think that is really the amazing power you're going to get, through Cosmic here, is getting all these additional tools to go with it. And I think that's just amazing. It literally is so easy to use. I'm sitting here thinking, what can I do to display my demos page at imgix? And it needs to be Cosmic, right?
Thank you for the vote of confidence and for being a good a demo guide here. Tom, we love imgix. Our customers rave about you guys. So thank you for taking this on a tour, showing us some cool stuff that you guys have recently been working on. This is a great template. We'll make sure to have this available for download. It's open source, so folks can download it and kind of look at all the cool stuff happening under the hood, deploy it, and get more familiar with some of these great capabilities that both of our services offer. Anything else to add, Stefan? Anything on your end?
I just wanted to say thank you for the demo, Tom. It's opened a lens as far as, the world of imgix, and I'm looking forward to exploring some of those really cool features. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you do.
Thanks.
All right, that's a wrap, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Tune in next time for another episode of Build Time. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Stefan.
Thanks, guys. Bye.